Regular meeting. November 23rd, 2021. Roll.
Alderman Johnson. Alderman Fairwell.
Here.
Alderman Rita.
Here.
Alderman Montoya.
Here.
Alderman McGee. Alderman Carr.
Here.
Alderman Rowe.
Here.
5 ayes, Your Honor.
Motion to approve city council minutes from October 26th, 2021. Motion.
This can be removed. These minutes had been previously approved. There was minutes at the Powell meeting, the last Powell meeting were not approved. So it can be removed from the agenda.
All right, the motion to approve city council minutes from November 9th, 2021.
I'm sorry, can we just clarify this? This is the October 26th city council minutes.
Correct.
And
Those were previously approved at the last meeting.
I don't think they were.
It's the committee of the whole we had the issue with last.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah. I double checked it.
That'll be on the next committee of the whole. Motion to approve the city council minutes from November 9th, 2021. Alderman Carr, is there a second? Alderman Montoya on the question. Alderman Fairwell.
There's a few errors I'd like to correct here. Let's see. All right, so yeah, just to clarify again, so here we say the meeting minutes, on the meeting minutes part of it, says motion by me, second by Roll to approve the minutes of October 26, 21. And that was, I'm sorry, just to make sure that was not, that is the cow or is that?
This is the regular city council meeting.
Okay, again, so the minutes that I'm holding in my hand from October 26th are minutes for a city council meeting.
Correct.
Yeah.
Those were approved.
All right, and are these the correct, I'm sorry, what was distributed in our package, but it's correct because there's a gazillion errors in these minutes. And
Were those errors discussed at the last city council meeting?
And those ones she gave you, she sent another packet out with those.
It was in tonight's packet, these minutes.
And that's
And they're
the,
right, this is rife with errors.
yeah, those may have been the non-correct minutes that were in the packet.
Last city council, we approved corrected minutes. So they might have been the old ones that we did not.
All right, Leon, I would give this to you, just so you can double check that, okay? Thank you.
So Alderman, it was the last cow we did not.
Okay. All right, thank you. All right, then, here, on page 2, under report of city officials, under the motion, the first one, Mayor, a motion by Alderman Rita, second by Alderman Montoya to approve payroll for October 29th of 371 such and such. There really should be a note there, which I prefer to read. Alderman Fairwell stated he would not vote to approve the next payroll if no information is made available to explain the large increase since May, because that was part of my vote. And on page 4, there's a typo under city clerk's announcements, third paragraph. City clerk Rianne Cantello-Zillman stated the light parade committee. Third line, it says ill, it should read will, W-I-L-L, not I-L-L. And then on page 6, it shows we go into executive session, but it doesn't show that there was a motion to adjourn to executive session. And then there's no mayor's report of what occurred in the executive session.
discuss litigation. And we came back out.
So I think those items need to be added. And that's all.
All right. Make changes. Any other questions? Move to the roll.
Alderman Fairwell,
Aye.
Alderman Rita,
Aye.
Alderman Montoya.
Aye.
Alderman Carr,
Aye.
Alderman Roll.
Aye.
5 ayes, Your Honor.
Thank you. To public comment. Any public comment?
Yes.
Good evening, everyone.
David.
Public comments, I'm interested, speak freely. Public comment.
Yeah, you're free to,
Okay.
anything pretty much within, you're being recorded, so just so you know that.
Yes.
But you can, yeah,
Okay, so-
3-minute time limit, but usually go ahead, speak what you gotta say.
So, I'm new to the community, we're new to the community. My pastor just purchased the church at 2500 121st Street. So we would just like to welcome ourselves to the community. We want to be a help to the community. We've just, this past weekend, we just did a Boxes of Love, so we passed out turkeys in the community. And we just started off with 50, so we really are trying to be active in the community. So we would love to work with the community, pointing in the right direction. That would be a blessing if anybody can, just give us info and things like that, just to work in the community. Everybody we've met so far is friendly. We appreciate it. We feel the love. We thank you all for that, and we just would like to, work together within the community. Okay. So that's basically it.
Thank you.
Welcome.
I would
Yeah,
be in touch
welcome.
with the city clerk, and she usually handles any like announcements you got going on in the church and stuff like that. She usually reads announcements there at the meeting.
Okay. City clerk.
Raise your hand.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Now move on to, we have no old business, new business. ES USA presentation. Yeah. Alderman Johnson is here. On to an old business, new business. Yes, USA presentation. Alderman Johnson is here.
Excuse me, would it be possible to unmute the City of Blue Island Zoom?
Yeah, okay. It's about a minute.
I got to walk them through the other side of that.
Okay.
That's fine.
Okay.
So, Mr. Mayor, alderpersons, thank you very much for the opportunity to speak before you tonight. My name is Nick Standiford. I'm a zoning attorney at the law firm of Shane Banks in the city. My address is 70 West Madison, Suite 5300, Chicago, Illinois. This is Dan McNulty. Dan, you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Dan McNulty. I'm with Veteran Services USA. We are the owner of the property, bought it in March of 2020.
Alderpersons, thank you very much for the opportunity to speak before you tonight. My name is Nick Standiford. I'm an attorney at the law firm of Shane Banks in the city. My address is 70 West Madison, Chicago, Illinois. This is Dan McNulty.
Yes, my name is Dan McNulty. I'm with Veteran Services USA. We are the owner of the property, bought it in March of 2020.
Thank you, officer. For those who didn't hear, we're here on behalf of VS USA, which is the property owner of the old Metro South hospital site. So we're going to be talking to you today about the status of our plans for the property, and we've prepared a little PowerPoint to guide you through that. So let me get into the presentation view here. So here is our development proposal. So the outline for what we're going to talk about tonight is a master plan, kind of the overall site plan of where everything is, so everyone can get oriented to the site. If they don't know what VS USA owns, doesn't own, some of the buildings located a few blocks away. We'll talk about some of the medical use, the single medical use tonight, the urgent care proposed user that we're going to hope to bring into the facility. We're going to talk about the higher education partnerships that we are have a letter of understanding with Arizona State University in specific. Their I think it's called their Thunderbird program. And then we're going to talk at the end about a property management company that we have a letter of understanding with called Capstone, who can we envision will be the managers of the proposed student housing use on the site. These are kind of the ideas that we've envisioned for the hospital, the old hospital site. Then we'll end by showing everyone kind of an overview of all the floor plans, what's going to hopefully go on each of the floors. So the master plan. So this is the site plan for the site. So what I'll do is I'll have Dan kind of go through each of the parcels that VS USA owns and talk about each one. So Dan, do you want to first? Here's the laser pointer. I know the people on Zoom can't see it, but if you want to direct the city officials as to where stuff is, that would be great. So you just click on the screen button here, and it's not going to work because it's TV. So so the building A. Why don't you start with building A?
Yeah.
That's the old hospital, right?
Okay. A little background. Most of the people in this room, as I go around the community, were either born in that hospital or had some kind of procedure or gave birth or what have you. I mean, it was one of the top cardiac centers in Illinois, if not the U.S. It ceased being a hospital when Quorum in 2019, I believe it was the fall, ceased operating as a hospital. We purchased the hospital March of 2020, just as the pandemic was underway. And I think it's kind of critical. And there's a lot of heart and soul in this hospital. A lot of people work there with 1,500 jobs. The problem is Quorum never really was able to make sense of it, economic sense of it. And hence it closed after about 5 years, losing about 18 million a year. It was put in bankruptcy. And I bring this up because, it'd be great to have that as a hospital there. But with the Healthcare Planning and Facilities Board, the Illinois Healthcare Planning and Facility Board, it's very, very difficult to get a hospital, a new CON, get reaccredited. It would take 5-10 years. It would take an investment of several $100 million to bring it up to par, where an independent hospital system would do that. So I want to be clear on that. Because of that, you'll see what some of the uses that we're offering here that the community wants, the administration wants, and I think will be a real benefit to the hospital. We'll get to that, as well as what we think is very exciting on the higher education front. So bring true economic vitality to a site that there's not a lot of options to go backwards in history and become a hospital again. It's just not doable. We've had studies done, we talked to folks about doing that, but it's an incredible site. It's by the rail. It's Metro, 2 lines right into the city. Incredible site. But if you look at the master plan that we're showing right now, that's building A is what we're going to be talking about today. That is the hospital building. To the north of that is a parking garage. Right there, you can see we're going to have a park on top of the garage that we're planning. If you move over to some of the other sections, and you guys, most everybody's familiar with the site plan, so I don't want to get into too much of the detail here. But
So outlined in red, that's what we're calling the hospital parcel, right?
correct.
The old hospital parcel. And there's how many parking spaces are in the parking garage?
Let's see, it says 300 and almost 300.
And then how many surface spots are there on
We
that
have-
parcel?
369. And parcel 2, you've got 61, parcel 4, 100, 124. You're close to 1,000 spots.
All right, and then building B on the next to building A, that's for mechanical, is that right?
Yes, that's what they call a powerhouse. It's about a 25,000 square foot powerhouse. Very, that runs the hospital building and the facilities there.
All right, so then there's other parking lots on this diagram, and those are circled with yellow. Is that right?
Correct. That's property, and is on Western, sandwiched in between bookend and between ours is actually property that is owned by the city. Moving south of there, across from let's see, right there at Western, is the city park that we talked about.
So that's surrounded in green there, right?
Correct.
All right, and then there's this a parcel surrounded in blue, and that's an existing medical office building.
It's a 5-story medical office building, medical professional office building.
All right, and that's not part of the proposal we're here for tonight. right?
No, it's a
Okay.
separate parcel.
All right, so that's the overall layout of the site. We just wanted to make sure everyone in the room would kind of had a sense of what we were referring to when we go a little deeper into the site. So then we wanted to start with the medical commercial uses. So I'll let Dan talk about the urgent care center that he's trying to bring in to the facility.
Great. And as I spoke about the hospital, most hospitals have what they call an emergency room. That's 24-hour care. And it's, for car accidents, gunshot wounds, what have you. That was a big loss to the community, losing the hospital, losing the emergency room. So what we've done is we've worked hard to work with several urgent care operators. That's the next best thing that you can do without a hospital. You cannot have an emergency room without a hospital, because you have 24 plus hours of stays, more than a day. With urgent care, you control the hours. You don't have the negatives that come with an emergency room. If you get gunshot wounds, sometimes you get some gang activity, and you basically have to beef up security, and it's not real good for the surrounding land values, house values, and the neighborhood. So what we've arrived at is an operator that is committed to us called Premier Urgent Care and Premier Occupational Health. So we're winning on this on 2 levels. Not only will they provide urgent care hours of 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. and treat the non-life-threatening injuries. We've got a list of them on the second slide here. Third slide, okay. Let's see. Does everybody understand what urgent care is? You see them around town. There's Doc in the Box at Walgreens and Take Care clinics and what have you. They're quite a bit with the, and these are some of the things they take care of as far as urgent care and occupational health. And occupational health will address some of the bigger employers in the area as far as health, wellness, and physicals. So we're getting 2 for 1 here. We're getting urgent care, which handles the walk-ins and by appointment, but also occupational health, which works with the large corporations for their medical needs. And that's good for Blue Island. That's good for us. It's good for the site. It fills the void that was left when the St. Francis Metro South ceased operating.
I'm sorry, did you say what the kind of hours of service would be there?
Typically, urgent care is 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., sometimes 10 a.m. to 7 p.m., but it's not around the clock. It's not middle of the night. That, you've got something that has to be treated within 24 hours, you go to urgent care for that. If it's immediate, and they call it immediate care as well. So
This isn't meant to replace your primary care provider. It's just to supplement that. So then I think the next one talks about some of the other treatments as well. You
right.
can get your COVID shot there. And then Dan, you want to talk about, so how did you find Premier Occupational Health, as the urgent care operator?
We actually talked to a number of urgent care providers, and they were very interested in moving into this area. They have one outpost in Bolingbrook, Illinois, and the fact that they work with the large corporations on their occupational health side, they can offer more than just the urgent care. We thought that would be good for the area, help the industry out. They would also work with the city of Blue Island. I understand you're self-insured, so that it would be a good plus for the city as well to use Premier Occupational Health.
So where would you intend on putting Premier? This is a mezzanine, this is
Yeah.
the mezzanine floor plan, right?
This
The
is-
mezzanine level?
Yes. And if you're familiar with the hospital building off of Union Street, that would be the old emergency room. So if you look at to the entrance to the emergency room is where this would be. Let me point it out here. So this is the entrance to the old emergency room. The ambulance bay was over here. This is urgent care, and they could expand through here with their occupational health if needed.
Okay, so just the red outlined area would be for Premier urgent care, is that
Urgent
right?
care, correct.
Okay, there are some other tenant numbers listed here that don't have operators yet, right?
Right.
And what's the plan for those?
As we work through the zoning process with the village, we would,
City.
the city, we would address those users and what they're bringing to the table here. But what you have here is obviously taking advantage of the medical or the clinical infrastructure of the hospital and bringing back to the community, whether it's an ambulatory treatment surgery center, something that everybody wants on an outpatient basis. And a lot of those outpatient services are doing very well in the economy today versus inpatient.
Okay, so that's the mezzanine level. We talked before about some higher education partners. So an educational use within the old hospital. And so is it right that there's been an outreach and a preliminary agreement with Arizona State's Thunderbird program?
Correct.
And can you describe, I think we have a gentleman on the Zoom. I'm not sure how it's going to be to get him back on to be able to testify, but
We might have a minute, the delay for him to speak up, but his name is Professor Travis Floyd. And I'll talk a little bit as he unmutes and maybe he can chime in a little bit about Thunderbird. As you can see, they're ranked #1 in what they call global management, and that's internationally accredited. We're going to unmute from here, Travis, see if that works.
I could hear you if you could hear me.
Oh, perfect.
Great. Well, thank you guys all very much. It's an honor to be here with the City of Blue Island. And I'm the global futurist at Thunderbird. I'm a professor there. I'm teaching a number of different classes that range from blockchain to extended reality to the metaverse. I'm very proud about the metaverse class that we got approved for this coming spring. Thunderbird is a university that's been around since 1946, founded by veterans. Just as you've mentioned previously, Thunderbird is the #1 global business management program in the world, and it's a part of ASU. ASU is the #1 in the US for innovation for the last 7 years in a row over Harvard, Stanford, and other schools like MIT. We're honored to be here. Like I said, we're honored to be working with Veteran Services USA. We've created a great relationship with them so far in regards to working with our film program, which is called Film Spark, on creating a number of initiatives that range from film to theater to extended reality, XR, virtual reality, augmented reality, and a number of other highly immersive, innovative technologies of the future. And we are also very excited about putting together badge programs to allow for veteran students to be able to achieve their objectives in their education and their career through some of the programs that we have already created at Thunderbird and ASU. And with that being said, like I said, I'm honored to be here and excited to see how we could move things forward. Thank you.
All right, so Mr. Cloyd, it's Nick Standiford. So it's typically an online program at ASU, right?
Not typically an online program. It's a combination of online as well as in person, but this is going to be an online program that we roll out here.
Okay, and how would it work for the students who are living within the old hospital?
We would have online classes, basically teaching them a number of different initiatives that range from filmmaking to basically we call it script to screen, taking a project from conception, overviews, all the way through the process of filmmaking, pre-production, post-production, and so on, all the way to delivering content. And we put them in a predicament where they have to be able to create this type of immersive technology or film type of IP. And we do that remote. We pair them up with other people within their program. We provide them a combination of different resources along the way, but everything is remote.
How often do the classes meet?
That's still being decided right now. We're putting together what's called a badge program or a certificate course where it would be preferably 1 or 2 times a week for a combination of anywhere from 8 to 12 weeks a year to be able to achieve an accredited certificate or badge.
And is there going to be any in-person component?
To be determined. We're still trying to understand the dynamics of the location to dictate that, but it's been in discussion.
Excuse me, did you say 8 to 12 weeks to get a certificate?
The question was from an older person, is it 8 to 12 weeks to get a certificate?
Yes, it would be a badge. It wouldn't be credited towards your degree. It would be a certificate badge program, which is correct, anywhere from 8 to 12 weeks.
Okay.
Are there any other questions while we have Mr. Cloyd?
Yes. Are there any other programs that are available?
Alderperson Rita asked if there are any other programs that are available
Besides the film?
besides the film and
Great question. As you've probably all recognized, film is only one piece of the pie when it comes to at least the entertainment, the world of storytelling, the world of bringing the next level of content and engagement to, to this ecosystem, to the world. And so, no, we're not teaching just film. We'll be teaching virtual reality techniques, augmented reality techniques, mixed reality, which is really the future of how we're going to engage in content. There's an evolution of hardware that's coming out over the next year, 2 years between Apple glasses and Google glasses and Microsoft glasses, and a combination of new hardware devices that are going to change the way we engage in content. And so a lot of our future forward programs are focused on a lot of the immersive media that's within the AR, VR, XR sector. And then we'll also be doing a number of things within blockchain and developing non-fungible tokens, which is also using the same technologies and techniques that you'd use for post-production film. Technologies that are built by Unity or Unreal Engine, with both companies being one private, one public, exceeding $70 billion valuations for both of them. So they're the toolkits of the future. It is the next level of how content creators will be using those toolkits to create 3D objects and images, virtual worlds, metaverse technologies, and so on and so forth. And And part of the programming will be focused on that as well as film.
In AR and VR and XR, augmented reality, virtual reality, and extended reality is, Travis, is the end goal here is the jobs that we're talking about are high-paying jobs, relevant jobs going forward. You've got, we're repurposing a building. You've got folks that are looking for careers and a nice pathway to a great livelihood and a good career. So that's at the end game. These are very high-paying jobs, as we know. So we're excited about that. Any other?
Thank you.
With Travis?
Mr. Kapari?
Yeah, I have a question. Will this be open to people outside of who are not veterans, to the public?
Yes. Primarily geared towards veterans with the GI Bill, but obviously you cannot discriminate against other non-veterans, but it will be open. Let me give you an example of what's going on in this industry, at least on the film side. Just recently, Cinespace, which was relocated years ago to the old Ryerson Steel facility, southwest of Chicago, southwest of the medical district. Cinespace has grown to have 50 sound stages. They just sold for $1.2 billion to a group called TPG. That part of the industry is just exploding in Illinois and across the nation with some very high-paying jobs. None of it is the advent of streaming, but the other things that we're going to be doing with Thunderbird extend beyond that, beyond film and film editing. So we're very excited about this. Is bringing higher education. I think you'll like this. I mean, we're checking a big box for everybody.
We have one of the principals of Veterans USA, Veteran Services USA on the line. Charles, did you want to add anything at this time?
Sure. Thanks, Travis, for joining us. We appreciate your time and we appreciate you moving your schedule around. Hello, Mayor. How are you? It's been a couple of weeks since we met, and we are also in the process of combining the education component with a pay component. So when our transitioning service members come into the facility, there is a payment program that's going to get them immediately into making money. So they're not having to go into the community and having to try to get a job at a grocery store or someplace else. They're going to be getting paid in order to continue to work in the field that we're talking about, which is non-fungible tokens, technology, data analytics, all of these type of related type of items. And we are hoping to be able to do it as soon as we can because we don't want to miss the opportunity and have this go somewhere else.
So we'll dive back. Are there any other questions for either Charles or Travis? Okay, so we'll get into, you just heard about ASU and Thunderbird. So this slide depicts where
Nick, Travis has another appointment. He just made himself available for this and we appreciate his time. So Travis, thank you. And I think you can adjourn.
Great. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate your time.
Really, thank you, Travis. Appreciate it.
And you too. Thank you.
So the potential location for if Thunderbird were to have some in-person learning that we talked about, that's what they might extend to at some point in this facility. It would perhaps take place on the first floor, and that's depicted on this plan right here in blue. And then you'll see that. Remember that the oranges those are the medical uses we talked about earlier. So some of those could extend up to this floor. And then actually at this point, Dan, do you want to talk about some of those medical services that also could potentially fit into this puzzle as well, and other operators we're potentially looking at?
Sure. We've got medical office tenants, which called multi-specialty practices, and primary care practices that are interested. We've also groups that do PT and OT. So kind of, in addition to that, as we talked about before, ambulatory surgery center. That's a very profitable business right now. The way the medical and clinical infrastructure in this particular building is built, there's 14 operating rooms, and to replace those today is millions of dollars per operating room. So we've got some really first-class institutions, independent health systems, and ASC, ambulatory surgery center operators that have inquired about locating in the property. So you're bringing outpatient medical healthcare to a facility that where it works, and the reimbursement on that, not to get into the details, is it's very good. Whereas a hospital system, you have the rooms upstairs and you've got a lot of carrying costs and what have you. It's a very profitable venture for those groups. So we're excited to be talking to some names that you would understand, and the likes of Northwestern, University of Chicago, that kind of thing. But they would not come, as I mentioned before, as a hospital with the CON and the IDPH and Illinois Health Facilities Planning Board. You can't turn it back into a hospital, but as far as the outpatient functions, it's very doable. But, obviously we've got a lot to talk about there.
So we talked about the higher education partnership with Arizona State's Thunderbird program. There's potential for other educational institutions to link up and partner with Veterans USA. Did you want to talk about any of these specific slides, or do you think they're sufficiently covered?
They're pretty much covered. I mean, we'll leave a copy for everybody on this. Talks a little bit about the GI Bill of benefits and how that works. It's important to explain, these are veteran folks that have served our country. Their profile might be 28 years old. They've done a couple tours of Afghanistan or wherever. They're back here. They're ready to work. They're serious about it. And the fact that you've got kind of this new frontier, new technology, it's a breath of fresh air. I mean, a lot of these other jobs have gone. We've seen that in communities close to Blue Island, and it affects them. Bringing these high-tech, high-paying jobs and the prospect of getting educated towards that pathway we're very excited about it. Utilizing the GI Bill, it works for everybody. It's a win-win. This gets into some of the benefits for the spouses and transfer requirements, whatever. And we'll go to the next slide.
All right, so the last component to the uses we're seeking, so we saw the medical outpatient services, we saw the educational uses, and now I think the last component is the student housing uses on the site. So Dan, do you want to describe kind of what, who are the students that would be brought in, and who would manage the student housing that would exist on the site?
Correct, and we did this to make everybody feel good about how this is going to be, how it's going to be run. Again, the profile of these students are not primarily 17, 18-year-old kids that are, going to go to a liberal arts school. And these folks are very, very serious about their education. They're very serious about their vocation. We thought it was important to have a student housing property management company that has a lot of credibility. So we're lucky to have a relationship with Capstone Management. Capstone Management is a division of Capstone Development. They are the #1 developer of student housing product, 44,000 units in all the major universities across the United States. As far as a management group, they'll manage and operate the student housing component. So it's nice having a pro, someone who's got experience. Let's move to the next slide. This is qualifications. It's a very small font on here. So again, we'll leave you a copy of this so you can read that. But the founder is a very good friend of ours. McKee is in there, and so is Matt Brown. But they know what they're doing. And here's some, go back to, I don't think we put it in here, but here's some of the properties. They're at University of California, Santa Cruz, University of Washington, University of Florida. And on the left there, on each description, it tells you what they do as far as facility management, property management, how to control the students, to make sure there's no problems. Security is big, how the students get in and out. Okay, this is one right down the street that was done. This is an amazing property. It's at the University of Chicago. It's called Woodlawn Commons. That was 1,300 units. And as you can see, that's quality architecture, quality built at the likes of the University of Chicago. So we're looking forward to, kicking this off and having a quality operator and a quality property.
All right, so let's go to the floor plan. So we talked about the student housing use. So the students would go through the entrance on the north side, is that right?
Correct.
And that would be just their access, right?
Right. That's on the Irving Street side.
Okay, and then the blue there, that's an elevator
Correct.
to go up to the upper floors, and that's where we're starting to see some of the student housing in blue, right?
Right. And these are current plans with the mezzanines, what have you. So we did the overlay in the color blue there for you.
All right, and then, so that's what floor are we on? Sorry.
That's
We're on
number
the
3.
Third floor here now, and then the 4th floor, and then the 5th floor. So are you guys utilizing the existing hospital rooms for the student housing?
Yes, we are. They lend themselves very well for a student housing arrangement.
Why is that?
You've got plumbing, you've got bathroom, you've got sink, you've got enough room in there, you've got window access, you've got open fresh air. You've got some common areas near the elevators, which were nursing stations. You can do various breakout activities and what have you. So it lends itself very well to what we have planned here.
And how many rooms is it? 275?
275, correct.
Okay. That's all we had there. Oh, and the 6th floor.
Yeah,
And the
that's
7th
the
floor is
rooftop. there,
rooftop,
yeah.
right?
That was done today.
All right, and then this is just a rendering. This is obviously the existing, a rendering of the existing facility, right?
Right. And as you can see, quite a bit of landscaping we're going to invest in the property. We've got quite a bit of land here. We've talked about maybe doing something with the park with the city. So love to have that discussion. That's, of course, on the western end of our property holdings. But it's as you look at it, it's a great site. We're going to revitalize the neighborhood. You've got 2 metro lines that go right into the city. It's 18 minutes away, which is a big key for this. And as Charles had mentioned before, the learn to earn concept is great. These folks are learning, but they're also working. And the fact that they can get to places like CineSpace in a matter of 15 minutes is incredible, where the job opportunities are. Yes.
Yeah, so my question is this, will you be adding sustainable features to the building and to the parking areas? Like best management practice, drainage, replatting of the building, green roofs, anything?
The question was whether sustainable management practices would be incorporated into the overall site.
Yes, we're planning actually, obviously we have to kind of work through the city, but maybe having a park on top of the parking garage.
I see that.
I mean, also, if you look at how the 2 towers of the old hospital building are configured, on the eastern tower, you could actually have a park up there as well. It lends itself to that. So, anything that enhances the community, but also our project benefits all. So this rendering here, we've done quite a bit of landscaping. And, we'd like to incorporate that in the whole site. I don't know if you can actually, upper right-hand corner, you can see where the park is. Looks pretty good there. Grass is green. These are good, and the gazebo is gone.
Do we want to allow Charles or Pavel or any of the other gentlemen from VSUSA who are on the line? If you wanted to add anything, this would probably be a good time to do that.
I think we are trying to stay focused on keeping, the property in general in a very upscale type of presentation. we originally came in and we wanted to think about doing some type of housing and supportive housing. And when the city felt that it was something that was not quite the best fit, we've set our thoughts on something that was more in tune with what we think the city was asking us to try to present. And that's why we have spent so much time and effort and money in trying to bring something that we think that the city will be proud of, as well as we want to be proud of as well. We think what we've come up with is something that the city is, has kind of asked us or guided us into trying to design something that has the ability to have the medical component to handle whatever, some urgent care or medical void that when the hospital closed. We're trying to create jobs. We're trying to create good media. We're trying to make the facility something to be proud of. There's not a lot of choices for a property this big, and we certainly don't. We're using all of our efforts to try to keep this moving forward, and we don't want to keep it vacant anymore. And we're trying to keep it in step with what the city would be proud of as well. I think that that's pretty much my summary.
Alderperson Rita?
Have you done anything similar to this in any other town, or is this your first attempt?
No, we have many properties right now that we are in the process. Most of the properties that we have either purchased or are in the process of redeveloping have been somewhat slowed down because of the pandemic. We have purchased a lot of properties because of the pandemic as well, but we have a very large property, almost similar in size, up in Pawtucket, Rhode Island. The difference is that this property, when Quorum Health left it, they left it in a relatively good operating condition. The state of Illinois, when they took it over in their possession, put in a lot of money into it. So they brought it from a good condition to an even better condition. In Pawtucket, Rhode Island, we have a similar use, and the city and the mayor and the entire state of Rhode Island is endorsing our program. They would like to have some more housing up there. But we also have the student component. We're under construction on that now. That's underway for permits and that development process. We purchased a second property in outside another hospital outside of Newcastle, Pennsylvania. Much more challenging because it's a very depressed area over there. And we are trying to work with the city and the state of Pennsylvania in order to try to see how we can bring in some labor and education. In our 10 to 12 to 13 hotels that we have throughout the country in towns like Dallas and Tulsa and Dayton and Reading and Trenton and Orlando, we are doing similar type of property adaptive use where we are bringing in our transitioning service members. We are doing some senior housing, and we're keeping all of those properties as 4-star luxury hotels as well. So we are very much knee deep into a lot of these overlapping type of initiatives. And Blue Island is a challenging project because it's so big, because it's not a hotel where you would have the internal pools and the gyms and the beds and things like that. So it's much more challenging for us to be able to do it. But we have made a commitment. We purchased it. We've invested, millions of dollars at this point, tens of millions of dollars at this point, and we are hoping that we get on the same page and thought with everybody so that we can just continue to make progress.
Yes, please. I'm just interested in kind of where you are on your timeline. Do you have any signed agreements with any of the entities you talked about yet, or where does that stand?
We do. We have signed agreements. We talked to them extensively. We're at that kind of inflection point.
Who would you have the agreements with at this point?
As we outlined in our premier, urgent care and occupational health. And then as outlined under the higher education ASU's Thunderbird management. So we're excited. All of them are first-class operations. we couldn't wish for a better kickoff to something. And I underscore again, the type of students that are coming in here have a lot of disposable income, so it's not like, they're living, in the mouth, right? But they're working, they're learning, they're geared towards good careers, and it's going to benefit the community. So you'll see that. So.
In these other towns, how successful are these students in getting jobs, being able to get employed with this particular, well, it's a certificate, right?
Right.
And that was my first part of the question.
Sure.
Second part, if it's only an 8 to 12 week program, why do they need to have student housing?
So let me jump in here, Dan. So we intend on keeping all of our students at a minimum of 12 months. So even though the certificate program is set up as up to the 12-week program, we intend on having all of our transitioning service members to be here for at least a minimum of a year, and some of them may want to elect to be here longer. There's lots of new trending jobs that are out there in the world of new technologies, and just depending on your skill set depends on the pay grade that you get into those technologies. Chicago is a pretty aggressive technology hub in general, as you see in the West Loop. Companies like Google and Amazon have put a pretty big footprint there. But it comes down to training, and it comes down to the ability to not only understand the languages and the terminology in that world, but also the skill set to be able to have the ability to execute on your learning. As Travis was saying, a lot of the things that he was talking about are things that maybe not everybody in the room understood. Some of the things he even talked about I don't understand, because it's it's new technology, but it's all part of education, higher education in this new world of technology, and that's really where most of the job trending in the higher pay is going. So I think that for the most part, our students will be here for close to 2 years, but each one of those certificate programs are set up, like Travis said, with the 8 to 12 week program.
Okay, and then the first part of my question was how many of these students are successful in getting jobs or being able to get employed in this particular industry?
Yeah, in gaming design.
Right.
Go
Like
ahead.
because you said Newcastle, Pennsylvania, and what was the town in Rhode Island?
Pawtucket.
Yes.
Yeah. So what
It's
was
all on
the
our website.
success rate?
You could see that. So every one of our students that are going to be coming into Blue Island is going to be under this Earn to Learn program. So they're all going to be having jobs coming in day one in this field. So they will be making these different non-fungible tokens and other technology related items from the day that they start the program. Depending on their skill set, depending on their education, and depending on how long they stay, will depend on whether or not they, gravitate to the different pay grades that are available to them in the different industries of technology.
So, as you know, there's Columbia College, there's DePaul, there's Full Sail University, there's Tribeca University. These are very popular. They've exploded in size, and the unemployment rate in those industries is very low. It's close to zero. And that's the things we're talking about: film, pre-production, post-production, gaming design, what we're talking about with NFTs, non-fungible tokens, whatever. It's all exploding right now. It's relatively new, but as far as the unemployment rate, it's if my kids were looking at doing something, like that, I encourage them to look at it hard. So they're good careers, and there's virtually close to zero unemployment there. Does that kind of answer? And a lot of people are, again, I kind of point back to what's going on, just from the film side. CineSpace is an incredible success story. And it's a lot of it is the streaming revolution, how the stuff is done, how do you make it, how do you process it, how do you distribute and produce and direct. there's a lot of jobs affected by that.
Are the educational offerings then limited to just what ASU's Thunderbird program can and will offer, or are there potentially, other offerings down the road?
That's a good question, and we've been thinking about that. And I think that it depends on whether or not ASU wants to continue to add more curriculum. If they do, then we probably will stay, exclusively throughout that relationship. If they have some limitations and there's some job opportunity, such as, the CineSpace studios may want to have some additional film courses, we would certainly look to entertain job placement, because ultimately for us, it's about job placement. Education is great, but it's job placement. So we are all of our options and doors will remain open, just depending on how we continue to kind of walk down that path.
To address, go back to Alderman Fernwald's question about, these are the ones we can discuss right now. There's other relationships that we've been talking to, other kind of studio related and other kind of high tech vocational programs. So,
Alderman Johnson.
yes,
So do you guys currently own this property?
we did.
So did you own it last year as well?
We actually we bought the property March 20th, 2020, right in the middle of the pandemic, right as the pandemic was getting started. 10 days later, the state of Illinois, by what they call eminent domain or gubernatorial taking through the Emergency Act, took the building and said, we need this as a COVID backup hospital. And we helped them build it out and present it as you probably saw in the news, there was McCormick Place and some other old hospitals. We helped them prepare that for a COVID release or release valve or backup hospital. No COVID patient ever showed up there. Little dynamics of the healthcare system. Outpatient services were shut down, so the hospitals were making up for it by bringing the COVID patients into their own hospital systems. So it was ready for it, and the state of Illinois was resident there for a good 14, 15 months. But we did purchase the property March of 2020. And again, go back before that, it was, I believe it was October of 2019 that it ceased operating as a hospital, lost its certificate of need, which again, is hard, almost impossible to reissue one for an existing hospital building that's lost it. Yes.
I wasn't finished.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Another part of the question.
Yeah, because the thing is that I'm looking at the upkeep of the parking lots from the prior time that you owned it until now, which hasn't been good. And you're talking about an entity of this nature and bringing in things, you mentioned the ambulatory care, or how eloquently you put it, for people of Blue Island or wherever coming in to get medical care. A lot of those places are truly very expensive.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're talking about you didn't want gunshot victims. We're right on the borderline of Chicago.
We are.
So what is the difference between you, Access Network, Oak Street Health, and Cook County Hospital?
Oak Street Health is a managed Medicare program where they transport patients. They don't do what a gunshot victim or patient has to go to emergency room. Will not go to a Walgreens, take care, or any kind of urgent care, or any kind of access care. It must go to an emergency room. And there are different levels, level 1, level 2, 3, 4, hospitals with those requisite emergency rooms. So if you have a life-threatening malady or illness or a gunshot, you need to go to an emergency room. I mean, you see that signs on every clinic. If this is a life-threatening, please call 911 or be transported to the nearest hospital with an emergency room.
Yeah.
This, again, cannot be opened up as a hospital. It can't be opened up as an emergency room only. You need the overnight stays, and to get that licensing is hundreds. I mean, it's a lot of money, it's a lot of time. It didn't work with Quorum for 5 years when they lost 18 million a year. A lot of it has to do with the insurance mix, payer mix, what they call, how much Medicare, how much Medicaid, and a lot of the free care that they have to give out. It didn't work for them. So everybody gets redirected to Little Company of Mary, Ingalls, University of Chicago.
Which really don't help us.
No, it doesn't.
In Blue Island, because I'm understanding from the money that's coming down from the White House with veterans' help and things of that nature. I'm not trying to turn this facility into a housing project. Because now I'm looking at different aspects of what you're trying to bring into the city. Is you're talking about a school, and I'm thinking that the school probably would lean towards the medical field, but we're talking about doing film.
Right.
That's kind of like a flea market. You got filming on this end, t-shirts on this end, housing on this end. So are you guys looking for a tax break in this as well?
No, we're not. We're bringing higher education to a facility. I mean, if again, get back to the issue of if someone has a life-threatening, you know where to go. You go to a little company or you go to this hospital or that hospital. We're providing urgent care. We've talked with the administration about that. That's what they wanted. They said, please do it. Bob Rita is the representative said, let's bring that. Let's do
What
it.
current, Blue Island's current administration or whom? Because you just mentioned Bob Peter.
Well, Bob Rita, the representative, was always wanted to, keep a hospital and have a ER. But you can't have an ER without having a functioning hospital. That's what I'm trying to. So there's no such thing as a freestanding ER. You need the overnight stays. You can't have that without a CON.
So
urgent care you can. So if someone comes into our urgent care with a gunshot wound or some kind of life or anything, they would be transported to a level 1, 2, 3 hospital.
just like the facilities we already have.
Right.
Dan,
Not to be anything we're not. Okay.
Go ahead, Charles.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Dan, let me just say, to address the point, there are a lot of nurse training schools in Illinois. There are hundreds of them throughout the whole state. And we initially were thinking about offering something at the property in a nurse training facility, but we were doing market research and we did not have the results that told us that we would have the ability to fill up the property. And we certainly don't want to do anything that is not fully successful. So in this field, we find ourselves in a niche in a market that is trending for higher paying jobs. So that is the primary reason why we have taken this path.
Okay, so how many students do you predict or think that will be coming?
We're projecting that at some point in 2022, we'll have about 200 students there.
Okay, so the property that you said you have in Woodlawn, that's associated, is it associated with the University of Illinois Hospital?
In Woodlawn?
Capstone, our management company, has the Woodlawn location. That is not us. We are an independent company. We are hiring Capstone as a third-party management company to help manage the student housing because they are a preeminent management company in the country, and that's their property. So I wouldn't say that we have an affiliation with them. Our management company does.
I'm just saying, because you mentioned in the presentation for a selling point, right? Per se to us, they're saying that you have a facility that housed certain amount of people that was affiliated with the hospital, right, of Chicago.
No, that's the University of Chicago, the university, not the hospital system. That was the student housing that.
So it's just a student house.
Yeah, our Capstone is our management group and operator who manage the student housing. They developed and now manage that. We put it up as an example of something close by to see the quality of product that they brought to that the Hyde Park area with the Woodline Commons. It's
The
about
property, the
1,300.
property management company brought it to that area, which we would hire to manage our student housing.
That's all right. No, those are good questions. Thank you very much.
Okay, so say the student decides that they don't want to go into that particular field. Are they locked into it, or is there a contract that they must stay for a certain amount of time? That's my first part of my question. The second part is, could other students say, maybe that do go to University of Chicago or DePaul or something, they can stay there, grab the train and go downtown? Is that something that you would think of, or no, you just?
Sure, let me address that. So if the student stays for the period of 12 months, they actually have just on the certificate badge program, they'll have 3 credits that are transferable to any university or college that they want to transfer to. If they want, we don't hold anybody into any program that they don't want to be there. This is an optional program. But if they stay for that period of time, they have actual credits. If they want to take more courses than what Travis was outlining, they'll have 6 credits or 12 credits, whatever it is that they want to participate. All of those credits, because Arizona State University is accredited university, can be transferred anywhere.
Charles, I think the question though was, if someone wants to stop going to school at that particular program, and wants to leave the student housing, is there an agreement they have with BSUSA that they would have to get out of, or how would that work?
No, they would just leave. I mean, there is nothing that's, would be binding them like a lease that they have to stay for a period of time, especially if they're not doing the education. We only want to have students that want to learn and earn, while they're there. And if they're, for whatever reason, not feeling like it's a good fit for them, then they can go to wherever they feel is a better fit.
All right, the second question was, if someone, let's say, wants to live in the student housing at the old hospital, but wants to commute downtown to DePaul, is there a vetting process to allow people to do that? How would that look and feel?
The way we have set this up is we believe that we're going to fill up, these couple hundred rooms with our own programs. It's hard to say if DePaul, contacts us and asks us if they want us to reserve 25 rooms, will we do it? I suppose it's a conversation, but it's not part of our plan. Our plan is pretty specific as to what we're trying to accomplish here. If anybody asks us for things and we have the availability, we'll obviously, open that part of the discussion up, but that's not our base plan.
Thank you.
Yeah, sorry, thank you. You mentioned 2022, that's 2 months from now. Are you talking about the fall, or that's faster than I would have expected?
We would like to do this as soon as possible, because the fear is that if we don't and we don't secure the relationship with ASU and they decide that they want to do it somewhere else, we can miss the opportunity. So I would just say, however fast we can do it from a code compliance standpoint, we are ready to go.
We would come back before you with a more detailed plan and seek approval on that.
It was planning and zoning, that's our,
Yes, sir.
Correct. They go through that. Yeah.
Right, plan development process. So I actually have a question, actually 2 questions to piggyback on Alderman Dexter Johnson about the existing parking lot. This is a good opportunity to remove some of that asphalt and do some green urbanism or green infrastructure.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So that's one of the things I would like to see in the plan development. And then the second one is, when are you guys going to remove that fencing around the building? That was done by the state with no building permits under emergency crisis management. We're no longer in that emergency. When is that fencing leaving?
As soon as we become operational, it'll come down. And until then, I think it's more of a safety for the property.
That protects the property right now too.
to the question about the landscaping, I think that's good feedback, and that type of feedback is important, and when we come back with our proposal, we'll show that where that's gonna be.
Did you guys snow plow it this year, or did we snow plow it last year? It don't get snow plowed?
We don't go on the.
And I think you said the fencing protects the property.
As right now, until
Not
you
operational.
do something, I would in favor of leaving it be.
Right.
Just my personal opinion.
Right. You're gonna see a total makeover and right now it's security, you got an empty building. It's a security concern for not just us, but around the property, that. So we're doing everything we can. We've got security force. It's a large property, but
You're
it
doing
will be.
construction, you need to fence it off anyway. If the
Yeah.
site gets off the ground,
Exactly.
goes to the right channels. Any other questions from the Alderman? Not, thank you, and I would suggest reaching out to Howard immediately and start the process.
Okay.
That was my next question.
Go ahead.
Is this just a preliminary presentation,
Yes.
or is this already in
This
the
is-
works?
Preliminary.
We're gonna come back with a more detailed plan for you.
We wanted to have this forum to present conceptually what we're doing. We've made a lot of progress with partners that we've identified here. To give you a little context of where the property was, where it is. And we're looking for its highest and best use for the community, the land values. And everybody, you're gonna have a lot of folks in this area that want to be part of this higher education process or be employed with the premier occupational and urgent care. So we can check that box for the community. We're happy. Check that box for students and bring some jobs to the area. Great. And there's a lot going on, as you know. It's been a very popular place for filming, and Blue Island's going through a renaissance right now. There's a lot of gentrification going on, people leaving the city. So you want to kind of ride that. Anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Bill.
Just one quick comment or maybe piece of advice.
Yes.
Howard is our secret weapon. He's our greatest resource for development. I know he will work very closely with you. He's very detail oriented. But if it clears Howard's sort of smell test, it'll go a long way towards moving things along here.
We'll make sure to talk with him throughout the process and make sure what he likes, what we provide.
And just to provide some feedback, I've been communicating with this group for the last year. They understand what I'm going with. Civil engineered plans for the parking lots, look at green infrastructure, look at places to have Uber and Lyft, people to drop off and pick up. Look at architectural plans, looking at how to revitalize or replan the building in a more sustainable manner. The parking study, traffic analysis, I've said this like a broken record many times. So they are aware of everything that I'm asking for, gating towards a plan development program review process.
To that, we've had a good relationship, good rapport with Howard. We've spent, as Charles indicated, untold millions of dollars to get to this point. So we're happy to keep moving ahead.
All right, thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. All right, moving on to the agenda, we have a motion for approval of payroll for November 12th, 2021, in the amount of $635.82. Is there a motion? Motion by Alderman Roll, is there a second? Alderman Rita on the question. Alderman Fairwell.
Just one question, point of clarification, I guess, really. The last payroll, there's a new employee, Rena Alvarado, who was paid in one check, and there was a catch-up payment within that, which made it larger than it would normally be. Now, on this one, she paid with through two different departments, and they're equal amounts, although I know one position pays different than the other position. So, and the third thing about this is that in the first, the Department 520 payment, it shows her net pay at zero. So I'm a little confused by all of that.
I noticed the zeros too. I never asked this even as an alderman, but Mark, give a better answer for this.
So there's a number of individuals within the city that are paid out of both the water fund and the general fund, similar to Public Works Department. So that's how it's divided up 50/50.
Okay, but
Which
do
is
you know
how
why
the
her,
city clerk was in the past, and deputy clerk was also
Okay.
50/50.
do you know why her 502, or excuse me, her Department 520 pay shows as a total net pay of $0?
I can dig into it.
Okay, yeah.
There's actually the entire public works is zero net pay out of that account is payroll too. So it falls the same, whatever that is. It'd be the same across the board for all public works employees in the water, but
And it's similar in past payrolls as well.
got the entire 520 is zero.
Okay.
Right. Any other questions? Madam Clerk, please do the roll.
Alderman Johnson.
Aye.
Alderman Fairwell.
I'm going to vote aye. And I just want to explain that Alderman Roll has put together some very helpful information that has helped me see kind of where we're going, and I think he's going to be sharing that with us. There's certainly another things to look at, but for now, I'm voting aye on this payroll.
Alderman Rita.
Aye.
Alderman Montoya.
Aye.
Alderman McGee. Oh, sorry. Alderman Carr.
Aye.
Alderman Roll.
Aye.
6 ayes, Your Honor.
Motion carries. Thank you. Number 2, we have motion for approval of accounts payable for the amount of $336,028.25. Is there a motion? Motion by Alderman Rolls, or second? Alderman Rita, on the question? Alderman Fairwell?
Okay, and I normally send Mark an email with some questions, but my time is right out. This is about 4 o'clock this afternoon, so I'll try to make this quick. Page 3, there's a check for $50,000 to CCMSI, and it says that there was a reissue of a lost check. It's a large amount of money, and it just raises a what the heck happened. question.
So, Tom Wilkinson, Administrator, CCMSI is the third-party administrator that we're using for workers' comp. Part of the setup for that is that we give them an escrow amount that they then kind of keep aside, and as we, go through settling workers' comp cases, they pull out of that until it's done. So we sent the check to their home office in Danville. They did not get it. We don't know why. So we put a stop payment on the check and issued another one.
Something like it. Page 8. Liberty flag, they apparently were out there hanging our beautiful holiday decorations. I just was not sure. I know Public Works has done a lot of that in the past, and I can see, I'm just curious why they did some or all of that.
Public Works never does the only decoration Public Works does is south, the ones we do between Old Western and 139.
Okay, so
Liberty Flag's always done.
okay, all right, thank you.
Anything that lights up, especially they do. Public Works, they're responsible. So we're praised.
Okay. Page 13. Oh, yeah, again, there was a check for expenses, Day of the Dead, supplies, food and flowers, $766.09. It's just a little unusual for us to pay somebody in that way for that kind of thing. And I'm assuming we have receipts and everything to back it all up. But it's a little unusual. And I'm not objecting to it, I'm just noting it, and I would probably prefer that doesn't happen too often.
Oh, and so I asked this also, it's the first time they had an event, some of the vendors didn't realize they would have to wait a month before they get paid. She took it upon herself, and I said, we'll reimburse you as long as you have receipts.
Okay.
The tent, if you notice, was fine with it, the tent is on her separately.
Okay. South Suburban Land Bank payment on several of them, page 15. So there's all these payments to South Suburban Land Bank. I guess I just don't understand how that works. These are properties that we sold.
Yes, this is the legal fees, South Suburban Land Bank charges us, and then we recoup it by selling the property. Every property sold for profit except for one, but we overcame that by profit from the other properties. This is standard procedure, we just did a lot of times.
Okay,
This is the law firm that's always, they work for South Suburban Land Bank.
I see. So really, I mean, I'm not saying anything wrong. It looks like that net all this, we probably didn't make a whole lot of money on the sales.
Oh, a lot. We did a lot. Most of the properties sold $40,000.
Okay, all right.
Only one that we lost $2,000, but overall it's net big profit.
All right, that's all the questions I get. Thank you.
And again, once the property clears the transfer, and they release the liens on it, that clock starts ticking for the other party agreement. Any other questions?
Alderman Johnson.
No.
Fairwell.
Aye.
Alderman Rita.
Aye.
Alderman Montoya. Alderman Carr.
Aye.
Alderman Roll.
Aye.
5 ayes, Your Honor.
Motion carries. Need a motion to make appointments to the Forestry Board. The names I have here, most of you know who they are. If not, I'll go through it. Val Kehoe, Trinidad Rojas, Brian Meadows, Sandra Erft, and Lindsay Cindy. Those are the 5 I'm appointing for the first round of the Forestry Board. And then they'll have to meet and come up with bylaws and everything else. And then I'd like to see us address this also in the appropriation. So I need a motion. Motion by Alderman Fairwell, second by Alderman Carr on the question. Alderman Fairwell.
So, Mr. Mayor, I really appreciate you moving this along. I didn't, like I said, I didn't get to looking at the agenda until pretty late to say today. And I noted that, you had this item on the agenda, and I asked Val if she was okay with the folks who are on it, and she hasn't seen the list yet.
I spoke to her on the phone. All these names she knew except for one.
Okay,
Talked to
so
her
she knows about these people.
Wednesday. I don't know if you talked before.
I talked to her a couple hours ago.
Yeah. I didn't have the 5th name. I was waiting for a 5th name.
Okay, all right. She was okay with the name you talked about. All right.
I got more names than are on here, but I only have 5 spots.
I understand that.
Well,
I
I'm gonna come
understand.
to her meetings. Was there a motion made, seconded on the question?
You said that we needed to put this on the appropriation. What did I misunderstand?
I'd like to address this in the appropriation. Usually the general funds for trees and upkeep and stuff like that. Just a request. Any other questions? Clerk, please do the roll.
Alderman Johnson,
Aye.
Alderman Fairwell,
Aye.
Alderman Rita,
Aye.
Alderman Montoya. Alderman Carr,
Aye.
Alderman Roll.
Motion carries. Next, we have a motion to utilize a road fund in the 2022 appropriation for administrative purposes. It doesn't have to be something that has to be approved on, but I think it just solidifies that we're putting this as the appropriation. So we need a motion to do this. Alderman Roll, second by Alderman Johnson on the question. Now, clerk, please do the roll.
Alderman Johnson,
Aye.
Alderman Fairwell,
Aye.
Alderman Rita,
Aye.
Alderman Montoya. Alderman Carr,
Aye.
Alderman Roll.
Aye.
6 ayes, Your Honor.
Carries. Next is ordinance number 2021, ordinance of the city of Blue Island, Illinois, amending the meetings of the city council, chapter 30, city council of title 3, administration of the code of Blue Island. This is to address our changing committee of the whole to the first Wednesday of the month. And also, while we're doing that, there's 2 meetings that normally is canceled. And I posed this to the alderman. Normally we just cancel the meetings, but I hate to do that. So I wanted to add a line where we can't call a meeting on a 3rd Tuesday, because June and November, we have to cancel council meetings for election days that are held in this chamber. And we've always in the past just canceled them.
Is that what line C is about?
Yeah.
That's fine, but the way it was, I just kind of wondered about the way it was worded, can make reasonable changes. It's kind of vague and, I don't suggest you could say, hey, we're not gonna have any meetings anymore.
Well, we normally pass, the mayor would just cancel. We just cancel.
Yeah.
I'd like to where I can still call a meeting anytime, at least putting it in writing, the mayor can call a meeting outside of the regular 2nd or 4th meeting. Because in June 28th, November 8th, are both city council meetings, both state, federal elections, primary and general, and we went to cancel those 2 meetings. So I might still just cancel them if we don't have business we need to approve, but I just, as a notice, what I'd still like to do once it's passed, I think I already sent it out once, is once the dates are passed, we can see the calendar for the entire year, so there's no confusion when the dates are. Is there a motion? Motion by Alderman Fairwell, second by Alderman Roll on the question. Madam Clerk, please do the roll.
Alderman Johnson,
Aye.
Alderman Fairwell,
Aye.
Alderman Rita,
Aye.
Alderman Montoya, Alderman Carr,
Aye.
Alderman Roll.
Aye.
6 ayes, Your Honor.
Carries. Mayor's announcements, I'll keep it brief. Last week, I participated in a joint meeting with the Illinois Department of Transportation along with State Rep. Bob Rita, District 218 administration and board members, and also Alderman Roll, Alderman Rita, Alderman McGee, and Alderman Carr joined the meeting to discuss our issues between 127 between Kedzie and Western. Many ideas were thrown out. IDOT is conducting and has agreed to do a study. They told us the timeline no longer than 2 months, hopefully a lot sooner, and already a few weeks have already gone since they started the study. So hopefully within a month or so, we'll get some results and suggestions from that study, and we can move on to another phase. Even though we did do stuff like traffic things, we were advised not to do anything else until the study is completed because they want to skew the results of their study. Mental health partnership with the county. Chief Barr was in the news actually just today. I shared it, Channel 32. The Blue Island Police and the Cook County Sheriff's Office have teamed up to offer virtual access to on-scene mental health professionals. We recently entered an agreement with the Sheriff's Office Treatment Response Team, a group of mental health professionals to provide round-the-clock mental health responses via Zoom video conferences or phone calls to aid our police department in de-escalating difficult situations. It's a good program and good publicity for the city, and there's more to come. Like I said, Channel 32, I just shared it on my mayor page because I haven't reached out yet to the media that does our city thing, but it's good publicity for us, and I'll thank you, Chief Farr, for coordinating this. Light parade, I'm sure the clerk's going to talk about it. That's December 4th. Tree lighting at 5. Parade starts at 5:30. Tons of activities going on, starting around 2 o'clock, all the way through the rest of the evening. The city, including right before this meeting, has met with the light committee and a lot of communication between the volunteer group and the city. Hopefully, this is the best parade we ever had, especially the communication and the amount of help between the city and the parade committee is by the committees. They said it's great. There's open line of communication. Anything we need, we're going to provide. And hopefully, we have a lot of participants. And it's sounding like we are going to have a long parade this year. We're also very aware of what happened in Wisconsin at their light parade, and we're addressing that also by blocking off additional streets than we normally do also. Street repair, Collins 119th Street, 119th Place are finally going. They told us tentatively they're starting on Monday by throwing blacktop down. So hopefully Collins Street and 119th Place will be finishing up within a week or so. We're also applying to Burke Engineering for the governor's state grant through called the Main Street program to because our shovel-ready streetscaping is pretty much we know what we want. So hopefully we get some money to offset the streetscaping project that we have in place. And they're almost done with their street condition survey and map. And I'll be sending that to the Alderman as soon as they send us it. And it'll be as of June. So it will not show the improvements that we're doing right now, but that's great. We have a starting point and then we can show what we've done in the meantime. 2 restaurants, again, we met with my staff, Old Western Pizza Company. We finally had a meeting with them. They're moving along. They're still getting some stuff to Howard and also our billing department. And then the seafood restaurant that's taking up the old Tenochtitlan land is nearly ready to open also. So it's, again, glad to see those spots are not being vacant for too long. Both were operated by restaurants for a long period of time, and we want to keep them filled and thriving for our Main Street. So that's pretty much everything I got on our mayor's comments. Next, we have city clerk's announcements.
I pretty much said about the light parade. This is December 4th, the Regal Mart. We have about 25 vendors, which is probably more than we've had in the past. We still have a few more spots that are open. Also, if you're not aware, the Regal Mart will also have children activities. They have a train that goes around the parking lot. They have pony rides this year, which is new. They have a petting zoo. They have a bear ride. The police department will also be giving out presents to all the children during the day. The Santa house and the horse and wagon ride will be in the evening. If you still want to decorate a car, you can still do that. You can contact my office and we will take care of that. We are planning around the clock. We'll work on decorating the ball. The details will follow after the Christmas parade.
Thank you.
I'm not done.
Oh.
I will be starting a Black History Committee. If anyone's interested, please contact my office. We'll be starting right after Thanksgiving. St. Peter and St. Paul Lutheran Church will be having their annual bake sale and Sloppy Joe lunch on December 4th, 11 to 1. That's all I have.
All right, thank you.
We still self-insured.
Yes, actually,
Bear ride.
there is movement on the insurance front. And we have a lot of ducks in a row via the future committee meeting. I've been sent at least the first round of quotes for some insurance. This might be property insurance, at least to start off with. But they are definitely reaching out to anybody available that's willing to talk to us. So we are actually here some. City treasurer is indisposed. I'll tell you personally, I'm not clearance of what's going on personally with him, but he's not dealing with it. So he's not here tonight. Under city attorney, with resolution of the city of Blue Island, County of Illinois, to authorize the execution of a settlement agreement, case number 19-CD-690, as discussed in our executive session. Is there a motion? Motion by Alderman Fairwell, second by Alderman Roll on the question. Not going to do the roll.
Alderman Johnson.
I wasn't present, so I'm just
Yeah.
abstaining from that.
Fairwell.
Aye.
Alderman Rita.
Aye.
Alderman Montoya. Alderman Carr.
Aye.
Alderman Roll.
Aye.
5 ayes, Your Honor.
Motion carries. It was next resolution, the city of Blue Island, Cook County, Illinois, authorizing approving agreement between the Community Economic Development Association of Cook County, Illinois, and the city of Blue Island. This is to help with the water bills, I believe, Mr. Pataska, is that correct?
Correct.
Yes. So it's a program, we just have to have this agreement for our residents to take advantage of, possibly helping pay for a water bill if eligible. Is there a motion? Motion by Alderman Rita, second by Alderman Johnson on the question. Madam Clerk, please do the roll.
Alderman Johnson.
Aye.
Alderman Fairwell.
Aye.
Alderman Rita.
Aye.
Alderman Montoya. Alderman Carr.
Aye.
Alderman Roll.
Aye.
6 ayes, Your Honor.
Carries. Next, we have a resolution, the city of Blue Island, Cook County, Illinois, authorizing and approving agreement between the Mead Incorporated and the city of Blue Island, Illinois, Cook County, Illinois. So this is the traffic signal maintenance, it's a yearly contract that we have to approve. They maintain all our traffic signals like 127th and Western Broadway and Chatham. I think there's 13 or 14, Jim, approximately 13 traffic signals they maintain.
I believe right in there.
Yeah, so it's just a yearly contract, so it's with a slight increase. Is there a motion?
I got a question.
Let's do the motion second and the question.
Sure.
Motion, Alderman Roll, second by Alderman Fairwell on the question.
Yes. Are those the same, is that the same company that does the calibration for the cameras?
No,
No.
no. Mead is just an electric company and maintenance. You're talking about like the red light cameras?
Yes, sir.
No.
Okay.
Any other questions? Clerk, please do the roll.
Alderman Johnson.
Aye.
Alderman Fairwell.
Aye.
Alderman Rita.
Aye.
Alderman Montoya.
Aye.
Alderman Carr.
Aye.
Alderman Roll.
Aye.
6 ayes, Your Honor.
Carries. Next with the resolution. The city of Blue Island, Cook County, Illinois, supporting Class A real estate tax assessment classification application by Founders Bank, number 5240 for the property located at 2338 U Street, city of Blue Island, Cook County, Illinois. This was approved at committee. This is regarding the old heart care center next to St. Benedict's on U Street. The property owners asked for this. All the city does is say we support it. They still have to go to the county and the board review to get final approval. So is there a motion? Motion by Alderman Roll, second by Alderman Fairwell on the question.
Yes, Mayor. You said someone purchased it?
No, it's the same owner. They are applying for a tax break because they plan on redeveloping the property.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem. Any other questions? Please do the roll.
Alderman Johnson.
Aye.
Alderman Fairwell.
Aye.
Alderman Rita.
Aye.
Alderman Montoya. Alderman Carr.
Aye.
Alderman Roll.
Aye.
6 ayes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Next, the resolution, the city of Blue Island, Cook County, Illinois, appointing Deputy City Administrator Mark Potonska as the local government director of the South Suburban Land Bank and Development Authority. Every village, municipality, and city has to have at least one representative and we pass it to a resolution. So is there a motion? Motion by Alderman Rita, is there a second? Alderman Carr on the question. Clerk, please do the roll. Alderman, question.
I'm sorry. So this position has to have a person from our,
It's not paid, it's like my on-the-rep agent, they have to have somebody officially as the person they have on contact with the city.
okay.
Formally held by Mr. Miller,
So what happened to Mr. Miller?
retired
Oh, I didn't hear about that. So.
last week.
Alderman Johnson.
Aye.
Alderman Fairwell.
Aye.
Alderman Rita.
Aye.
Alderman Montoya.
Aye.
Alderman Carr.
Aye.
Alderman Roll.
Aye.
6 ayes, Your Honor.
Carries. Next we have, this is the an ordinance, of the city of Blue Island, Cook County, Illinois, amending section 72.14, handicap parking, uniform regulations of chapter 72 parking regulations, title 6 traffic code of the code of Blue Island, Illinois. This is basically raising it to what our signs currently state in state statute. So we're applying with the $350 fine for handicap parking violation. Is there a motion? Alderman Rita, second. Alderman Johnson on the question. Madam Clerk, please do the roll.
I'm sorry.
Yes, Alderman.
There, I thought we were going to the residential parking.
That's the next one. This is the number 6,
Oh.
handicap.
Sorry.
It's just cleaning bookkeeping.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Madam Clerk, please do the roll.
Alderman Johnson.
Aye.
Alderman Fairwell.
Aye.
Alderman Rita.
Aye.
Alderman Montoya. Alderman Carr.
Aye.
Alderman Roll.
Aye.
6 ayes, Your Honor.
Motion carries. Next, we have ordinance of the city of Blue Island, Cook County, Illinois, establishing residential permit parking of motor vehicles at certain streets surrounding Eisenhower High School. This is a miss in our Eisenhower omnibus package that we approved several meetings ago, and this hopefully covers that last thing that we missed on that meeting. Is there a motion? Motion by Alderman Roll, second by Alderman Rita on the question. Madam Clerk, please do the roll.
Alderman Johnson,
Aye.
Alderman Fairwell,
Aye.
Alderman Rita,
Aye.
Alderman Montoya, Alderman Carr,
Aye.
Alderman Roll.
Aye.
6 ayes, Your Honor.
Thank you. And last, we have a resolution, City of Blue Island, Cook County, Illinois, authorizing the approval of purchase of police utility vehicle. Is there a motion? Motion by Alderman Roll, second by Alderman Johnson. On the question, Alderman Rita?
Is this from our asset forfeiture fund?
No, this is appropriated general fund.
We have.
Yeah, it's in the appropriation.
Thank you, Alderman.
And there's
For
a reason
some
why,
reason, I thought it was out of the asset.
there's a reason why I wanted this. Technically, it's an appropriation. We just did it. But because our past history, I wanted something the council approved.
Okay.
Just. Any other questions? Clerk, please do the roll.
Alderman Johnson,
Aye.
Alderman Fairwell,
Aye.
Alderman Rita,
Aye.
Alderman Montoya.
Aye.
Alderman Carr.
Aye. Aye.
Alderman Roll.
Aye.
6 ayes, Your Honor.
Thank you. City Attorney.
I have a question.
Alderman Rita.
So although Chief Farr may already do this in regards to the asset forfeiture fund, do we have an ordinance in place or something in place so that it needs to come to the city council for approval prior to any funds being spent? Or do we need to pass an ordinance?
I'm not sure what's currently on the book. I don't know how the police department knows that or not.
We can look into it. Unless Carr, no, we can look into it. Any city attorney?
Nothing to report.
City administrator announcements, reports, or comments?
Tom Owens, City Administrator. I'll be brief. All right, just want to give a quick update on the implementation of the COVID policy, COVID vaccination policy. So we have obviously fully implemented the program. The majority of city employees have complied without too much issue. We got a couple squeaky wheels that we need to pay attention to. But by and large, we have seen pretty good production from the departments. I do want to point out, because they're here tonight, Chief Farr, Sergeant Sepasi, and Mr. Polstrow all did pretty exemplary work in getting their folks compliant with HR, and it's not easy when you're dealing with sensitive topics and sometimes difficult people and get everybody on the same page. So I think they deserve a nod for that. We are currently utilizing Cook County Public Health testing for employees, but some of the collective bargaining units have also contacted mobile testing units to get them out here about 2 days a week. Probably going to be in the 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. timeframes. We're looking at right now Thursday and Friday. I will confirm that, and that's also available to all city employees, including aldermen. If you want to get a test, we'll have mobile testing units here. If you're getting ready to travel for the holidays, something like that might be a good idea. They offer PCR and rapid tests. Our city policy calls for the PCR test because of the accuracy. So that's kind of the update on that. As we talked about last time I was up here, our hope, and we're disappointed by it, but our hope was to have a completed preliminary audit and trial balance by this meeting. That has not happened. The main, and I've been communicating this with Alderman Roll from the financial standpoint, the main impediment right now is verifying some exact amounts with Cook County about how much federal funds we spent in 2020 as it relates to CDBG. The reason that's important is if you spend over a certain amount, it triggers a different threshold in your audit. And we're right around that amount, and we really don't want to get that wrong. And we don't want to be on bad paper when it comes to grants and obtaining grants, especially at this particular time when we're hoping to be capturing federal and state money for projects. So that said, I don't want to get caught making a promise twice, but the next city council meeting is December 14th. I have been in communication with the county over the past couple of days. I sort of set my hair on fire today about because we were getting the responses that we needed. We made a little bit more progress today. I'm hopeful that coming out of Thanksgiving that we'll get that last piece hammered out, and then into December we'll have a completed preliminary audit. Obviously, as we've talked about, that completed preliminary audit is a domino for a number of things. We've got some things bottlenecked behind that, including comprehensive insurance quotes and including next year's appropriation. Okay. Going into next year's appropriation, we're in the process of preparing the tax levy for next year. And I'll just, for some of the newer members of council, we pass a tax levy every year. If your tax levy, which is essentially your request to the county for property tax funds, if that, it increases every year because the cost of everything increases every year. If the increase is estimated at over 5% of the previous levy, we have to have a separate public hearing. But we've been looking at the numbers with both our auditors, accountants, and law firm, and we do not anticipate that the levy is going to go over 5%. So ergo, it should not trigger a special separate hearing. It is our goal to have a levy in front of this council by the December 14th meeting, and we are taking the steps to do the necessary public posting of that. As you know, legally required to post this in a newspaper at a very high rate for advertising, and we will schedule that to hopefully be passed on 12/14. We have to get the levy to Cook County by December 28th. We don't have a normal meeting after. Yeah, so if we don't want to be scrambling special meetings on Christmas Eve, we're shoot to get this done on the 14th. Did I miss anything on that, Aaron? Okay. And just one last thing, City Hall will be closed on Friday after Thanksgiving.
Wow.
And that's all I got, unless anyone has anything from your mouth.
Alderman, questions, concerns, comments? Alderman Farrell?
Just wanted to note, I just came in, just before I came to the meeting. We got a nice, letter, I don't know if you've seen it or not yet, from North Arboretum, came to me in Val, I guess maybe you haven't seen it yet. Congratulations, you have been selected for a CRTI Urban Forestry Award for Restored Blue Island's tree canopy to be nominated and scheduled within the Community Stewardship Award. So, many congratulations to Val.
Can't hear you,
for all of
sorry.
the hard work.
You're awarded a tree.
Nice.
Val got an award.
That's right, yeah, community, she got the, Urban Forestry Award for, the Blue Island Tree Canopy is, program. They know what they're talking about.
Alderman Johnson?
Yeah, I got a few things, Mayor. One, I have a resident in my ward, Wood. I haven't heard anything about her fence or the reimbursement of her fence. Property address is 3013 141st Street.
Yes. And actually, I'm personally involved in this, and we're waiting for a resolution. Hopefully, very favorable very soon.
Okay, because I know we've been working on this for quite a while.
I'm one of the people many people she contacted when I was home, so I understand where you're coming.
Okay, all right. Next, where are we with the permits or something to deal with the permits with affordable recovery?
They received the permits, not permits, they received the inspection reports.
They need
They
it.
did.
Okay.
Now we're waiting for what they're gonna do next.
Okay, and I've been an alderman through 3 different mayors, and every time we always have an issue with finances. And I'm asking, as I asked many times before, when can we look into getting an audit, a procedural or a forensic audit? Because just like it's like Mr. Wogan was just saying about different finances, different things, budgeting, and it's always a financial issue. But we always had the same auditing company and things of that nature, but the issue has not changed. We still haven't got a grasp on how our finances are. You know, how can we continue to even project how we're going to move forward when we don't know? So that's what I'm asking for. Second of all, last but not least, December the 18th, I spoke to Mr. Wogan, informed him about seeing if I could utilize the rec center or city annex. I have a minister that's giving away free coats, brand new to anyone, adults, children, whatever, and he's also feeding at the same time. It's free for everybody. And then, supposed to be some more things coming in like gloves, hats, socks, and any donations. That's it.
Thank you. Any other, Alderman Roll?
Yep, I'll be quick. As Alderman Fairmount alluded, in response to his inquiry about the growth in payroll, I took our year-to-date gross payroll spend provided to me by Administrator Petoska, just to model out a sort of projected annual payroll costs. We are on pace to outstrip this year's projection or appropriation. So if next year goes as this year has so far, we would outstrip this appropriation. If anybody is interested in looking at these reports, it's a good breakdown and how we spend payroll. I'd be happy to show you. Otherwise, I'll be reviewing those reports with the administrators in our next meeting. And I'd like to make those reports and others like those available to us for our appropriation discussion. I think it'd be pretty helpful this week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yes, thank you, Chair.
I think going over the alderman, as sitting alderman and the ones that sat with me on this council, regardless of how long, the appropriation never was clear cut. We have some funds, as we all know, that are lump sum, some are by individual, which doesn't make any sense. Doesn't follow most accounting practices. So if we can figure out a way to hammer this thing out, I think it makes our lives a lot easier going into the following year after that. So I thank you for the work you've done. And any other alderman comments or Alderman Rita?
Okay, it's that time of year again. I'm going to remind everyone that it's Angel's Touch. Thank you to the various departments, police department, fire department, clerk's office, and of course, my fellow aldermen here. It's families helping families. If you could please donate a box of your favorites, 1 or 2 boxes of your favorite cereal, it would be great. We have a few drop-offs, of course, at the clerk's office, the Blue Island Park District, off at Memorial. We have the Calumet Township, and then we have State Rep Rita's office on York Street. So if everybody, or you could just contact me and I would be happy to come pick it up. If everybody could please just donate a box or 2, it would make a difference in somebody's Christmas. So thank you. Oh, and my deadline is December 10th.
Thank you. Any other comments, concerns? Not. Happy Thanksgiving. Spend time with your families.
Happy Thanksgiving.
And we have one community meeting in the whole, first week of December. One of those weeks where the calendar worked out in our favor. And we have our last meeting of the year, the 14th, God willing. Hopefully we have a levy. We're not going to meet on Christmas Eve as time set. So again, have a good Thanksgiving from everybody in the city, myself.
All right.
Is there a motion to adjourn? Motion by Alderman Johnson, second by Alderman Roll. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?